or a customer services representative.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by. Your conference is ready to begin. Good afternoon and welcome to the University of Toronto webinar. And I would like to turn the conference over to Jaime Sanchez. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the fifth in a six-part series of our First Nations Carbon and Emissions Trading webinar series. Today's topic is regarding forest carbon projects, and I'd like to talk a little bit about our initiative, the First Nations Carbon Collaborative. And it's a project that's been a collaboration between the International Institute for Sustainable Development, the Center for Indigenous Environmental Resources, both based in Winnipeg, and several First Nations, including the Carrier-Scandi Tribal Council, Poplar River First Nation, and the Clecho government. I'm working with the Carrier-Scandi Tribal Council and our partners in organizing this event today. So this webinar series is essentially about learning and sharing information regarding carbon and emissions trading and how it impacts Aboriginal communities. Part of our project this year was to have developed some background documentation regarding Indigenous carbon projects. These documents are now available online at our respective websites, and one of them was a case study of different First Nation Indigenous carbon projects around the world, in Canada, the U.S., Mexico, New Zealand, and Australia, as well as a annotated bibliography regarding the Indigenous people and carbon markets generally. I'd like to also thank our funders and supporters for this project, including Indian and Northern Affairs Canada, the BC Capacity Initiative Program, the New Relationship Trust Fund, the BC First Nations Energy Mining Council, as well as the University of Toronto Centre for Environment, who has provided the technology support through the Cisco WebEx platform that we're on today. So the agenda is available on our website at carrierscandi.ca. Today's topic is forest carbon projects, and we have two speakers, Robert Falls from ERA Ecosystem Restoration Associates, as well as Dirk Brinkman from Living Carbon. So a little bit about Robert Falls. He's the Chief Executive Officer and Director of ERA. He's a resource management scientist with an academic history in carbon sequestration and a business background in the energy and environment industries. Robert has a strong history in the field of climate change and renewable energy, developing and managing projects in China, the U.S., and Canada. Robert founded and chaired the Sustainable Development Council for Canada's largest integrated gas company and has served as an adjunct professor at the University of British Columbia's Institute for Resource, Environment, and Sustainability, and as a senior advisor to the Glow Foundation of Canada. So I'll pass the presentation off now to Mr. Falls.
All righty. Well, good morning, everybody, and good morning for those of us, at least, that are on the web. Falls, thank you very much for that kind introduction. I'm here with my associate, David Rockus, who works with me at ERA Ecosystems. He's on the market side. As mentioned, I'm a resource management scientist, so I'm just going to speak very broadly and introduce the broader marketplace or space of climate change and kind of just from 20,000 feet how it is going to be potentially changing the way the world works, actually. But just a little bit about ERA to start with. ERA was established in 2004. We do the full gambit in carbon offset development in the forest space. So we originate projects with local governments and other landowners. We have the capacity to implement projects, and then we also sell the carbon offsets arising from those projects. So we've been at this since 2004, and most of our activity has been in the voluntary market space. David's going to elucidate on that. and we're continuing to develop our business based on policy developments and market developments. We started in British Columbia, locally here in the Metro Vancouver area. We have other projects in British Columbia, and in the Gulf Islands. We've recently announced a project, and we're also working in the interior of the province. We're developing projects as well in the Hawaiian Islands, and we are supporting projects in New Zealand. We recently announced another project with the Congo that we've been working on for some time in taking the steps to advance that project. So we're not a big company, we're about 35 people, but we are out there and actively developing our business in this emerging market. The market has grown significantly. When we began in 2004, I think the international market was in the $1 billion range, and that, of course, that includes everything voluntary and the compliant market, and far and away the bulk of that was the compliant market. That number has grown to something over $140 billion as of 2009. So this is a market that is continuing to develop, subject to policy developments and market developments, but it's a very dynamic market that is growing quite significantly. You know, putting a value on carbon is actually changing the way the world works. I've got a few photos there. I was in London not long ago, and in London you'll see the streets lined with bicycles that people can use so that they don't have to use polluting vehicles to get to where they want to go to. They just pick it up and drop it off at their workplace, at their home. And also you'll see that there's carbon neutral branding. That's a courier service, that photograph you see there. There's lots and lots of companies that are branding either their products or their services green or carbon friendly or climate friendly based on being associated with offset projects. Where this is going, we don't really know, but we're going to see a continued effort to decarbonize the energy industry and our civilizations in general. You're going to see more and more effort also directed to forests, which is our particular focus and which is of particular relevance to British Columbia and First Nations, whether that's managing existing forests or creating new urban forests has yet to be seen, but I think it's going to be a combination of both of these. So we're going to see some significant changes in the way the world works, all based on the fact that we're now putting a value on carbon. So with that, I will hand this over to David Rockus. David's got an excellent background in this space, and he will give you some detail now on the various types of markets, the standards, et cetera, and hand it over to David.
Thanks, Robert. Hello, everybody. As I go through this, feel free to shoot over questions, and if we can't answer them today, we'll certainly be happy to send follow-up emails or however you like to complete that task. What I'm going to do is go over this, as Robert said, really dynamic space here, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but try and put some meat on the bones of where this market is actually at, potentially where it might be going, certainly how it affects land-based projects from a North American perspective and internationally, and elucidate a little bit more on the role that First Nation communities play within this, which is potentially a very, very significant role. Being West Coast based, we're certainly in a bit of a first mover, I would say, from a Canadian perspective, first mover position, simply because of our developing emissions trading policy here. I'll give you a little update on that, up to yesterday update on where we're going with it, and hopefully paint a picture of where we might end up 6 months, a year from now. So let's just start with some of the, we'll call it Forestry Carbon 101 type ideas about what this market is about. Forestry has historically always been in the voluntary space, and the reason being it was never fully adopted under the CDM mechanism. which was part of the European trading